What is up, guys? My name is Server1, and today I'm going to give you one of my most fun decks of all time, the one I enjoy the most, and it's my Blackluster Soldier Invoked. Now, as you already know, I love Invoked very much. I think it's one of my favorite engines of all time, if not the favorite, at least in the format. And I do like it, but there's one thing I had actually a problem with it until I found this deck idea. So the first one, I didn't want to have an Invoke generic deck, which is the Wind Witch one, because I know there are too much out to it. I didn't want to have a disgusting one like Herald of Perfection, because my friend will not play against something like that, and I just don't enjoy that much, even though it's the most competitive. I didn't like the idea of like slow decks, like the Magician Girls or whatever, because it's too slow and you cannot do a thing. And I didn't like even I did like my Predator Plant engine idea, but the only problem I have with it was too dependent on my opponent graveyard because I didn't have all the attributes, and I also didn't like in my Blue Eyes because I like my pure Blue Eyes. So yeah, that's the build that I enjoy the most, and that is my Blackluster Soldier. And yeah, I really love it. And without further ado, let's get started with this deck profile. So starting off with your Blackluster Soldier, you want to run triple of Blackluster Soldier Super Soldier. Now, this is the most important monster in the deck, in my opinion, except from Alistair, because this card is your boss monster in the deck. Its effect is, it can only special summon one of him per turn, or special summon, up to the number of you can only special summon per turn. So if you summon 3 of them of Soul Charge, you can, but you can only special summon if you summon one in Ritual. Just to let you know, is basically you can only special summon one. So it's like a Ritual Beast if you don't understand what I'm trying to say here. It's like a Ritual Beast after you summon it with its effect. So yeah, that's that. And its effect is, first effect is when you destroy a monster by battle and send it to the graveyard, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to that opponent attack in the graveyard. So it could be good if your opponent monster have less attack, but it could be bad if your opponent monster have better attack, so you're not going to inflict a whole lot of damage. So remember that this effect is really good, but it could be bad as well. Then its other effect, when it destroyed by battle by card effect and sent to the graveyard, you basically special summon a Gaia the Fierce Knight from your deck. So it's really from your deck, hand, or graveyard, sorry. So it's really good. Now, Gaia the Fierce Knight, I run one in here, but it's pretty much your break card, so you don't want to run more than one, just to let you know. So that's pretty much it. I love this card because it's replace itself, and it's just inflicting a lot of damage, but because it can only special summon one of him per turn, I also run one of the original Blackluster Soldier, just because of that idea is that I need another Blackluster Soldier on field to inflict enough damage. So I run one of him as well, the old cheap Blackluster Soldier, and then one copy of Envoy of Beginning because it's a really easy boss monster to special summon in the deck, and just basically have almost all the effects that this guy have build in it. So it's really good. Like the 2 effects he's going to get, build in it. So it's really good. I love this card, and just so easy, special summon 3000 monster. So that's it for your Blackluster Soldier monsters. And again, it's also like you have 5 in here, which is very much enough for your trading targets, because you also run Gateway of Chaos, which is another Blackluster Soldier monster. Then for the little guys, you want to run triple of Beginnings Night and double of Evening Twilight Night. Now, the reason behind this ratio might seem strange to you guys, but I really think this guy is a lot more important in the deck because it's light. Even though this guy's secondary effect is a lot more better when you give to your BLS. Now, their effect is the two of them. They have 2 effects to give to your BLS, which can stack. Those 2 effects, the first effects, can stack. So the first effect is basically banish, once per turn, banish a monster on board to your opponent. So basically you can, if you use those 2 cards as materials, you can banish 2 monsters. So that is pretty good. The other effect is like this guy is basically giving you the first effect, like Envoy of Beginning, like the ability to attack twice, like Envoy of Beginning, if you attack on monsters. And this guy giving you the ability to banish a card from your opponent's hand until until the end phase. Now, his end phase. And now, what's really good about them is they're basically giving you the same Envoy of Beginning effects, but they're not limiting you for attacks. And also, one thing you also want to remember, this guy, when it's banished, which that's why I think it's also more important, when it banished, you basically add a ritual spell because you have less chance to get a ritual spell to your hand. And if this guy is banished, you basically add a ritual monster. So I think this guy is more important, even though I consider bumping this card up to 3, but I will show you the cards I actually want to take out. And then for our last BLS monster, you want to run one of, sorry where it is, I don't know where I put it. Oh, I think it is here. Yeah, that's where it goes. I run one copy of Charging Guy the Fierce Knight because, like I said, it's your BLS target, and I run in this one because I think it's the best one. If I'm stuck with it, I can normal summon it without tributing, but it become a 1900 beater, and it's, you know, light, so I want it like the light target because I think it's better in the deck. So yeah, that's it for my last card dedicated for BLS. And then lastly, for our light and dark monsters that I run, that Twilight cards, I run 2 white dragons and 1 black dragon. Now, the reason behind this ratio is once again pretty strange, which that's why I consider bumping this card up to 2 and this up to 3. Because this guy, what it does, it can banish a dark, which I have a lot more darks in the main deck and the extra deck that I can use for whatever reason. Now, this guy, what it does, it's basically special summoned by this banishing a dark from a graveyard. And when it's sent to the graveyard, I can search a black dragon, and I can only activate its 2 effects once per turn. And this guy is the same by banishing a light. So that is pretty good. You want to run this, guys. They really help your deck because you don't have so much light and darks. And then for our last monster, which is the dark monster that you want to run, like it's because it's a dark monster, I'm not too much worried about darks. Is Free Alistair the Invoker, because this guy, what it does, it's adding your invocation. It's the only normal summon I run in the deck. I don't really think like Manji really helps in here, and just because of that, I run 3 of him because it just the last combo piece you need. Like it just the only thing you need in the deck. So you want to run triple of him. It's so easy to drop a Merkaba even if you have a break hand. So or Magnolacia or whatever. It's just so good. So and then one monster is 1 Maxi. And because the dark target and a level 4, it has so much synergy in the deck. And I'm talking about the Alistair, of course. I'm sorry that I basically skipped for Maxi and still talking about Alistair because I forgot to tell you that, guys. Because it's dark monster and level 4, it has so much synergy in the deck because of the ritual spell, which we'll get in just a moment. Because the ritual spell is so good. So you want to run triple of Super Soldier Synthesis, which is your ritual spell, the first and only, like, the first of 2 ritual spells, but the better one out of the 2. Because this card, what it does, is you can ritual summon 1 Blackluster Soldier monster from your hand or graveyard. So even if you have a Blackluster Soldier discarded by any effect, you can basically still special summon it. And it has the effect you can basically use you can need to, like, use level 8, like, exactly 8. And it's have to be exactly 8 for your Blackluster Soldier, and you use 1 dark monster or light monster, and 1 dark monster and 1 light monster, 1 from your deck and 1 from your hand. So let's just say you open up with an Alistair, okay? An Alistair, and you have nothing else, like you have just the Alistair and you like break with 2 Alistairs or whatever. You can still use the Beginnings Knight in your deck to send to a graveyard and still giving your BLS half of the effects you want to have on him. So that is so good card. And you want to run 3 of him, even though he can only activate once per turn. And then to the last ritual spell, I want to run 1 copy of Super Soldier Ritual. Now this card is less good, but I still want to run it. Just the same reason why I want to run the original BLS, because sometimes I want a second one and I just don't have, because, you know, I just don't have what I can say, like, I just like open up like 2 of these or something like that, and I just don't have another out to summon because my opponent like Solemn Strike or Solemn Warning. I want to have another copy of a ritual spell I can use, and its other effect, it's just like a normal ritual spell which you also have to summon exactly 8. It's not that hard if you open up, like, let's just say an Alistair and another level 4, because you can normal summon the Alistair and just loop the things that you need, and that's pretty easy. And the other effect is when it's in the graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it. banish one dark and light from your graveyard, and special summon a Blackluster Soldier ritual monster, ignoring the summoning condition. So it's really, really good ritual spell just to have at 1. And then you also run around, because it's an Invoked deck, you want to run double Invocation, because it's your fusion spell. Now, this fusion spell is so strong, you can fusion summon any monster from your hand, or like any fusion monster, but you can only special summon it by using monster from your hand. But if you use it for an Invoked deck fusion monster, you can also using a monster from your field and banish like from your field or either player's graveyard. So it's so strong. You have the synergy by banishing your own beginnings knights to get your ritual spells, or you can even banish your opponent monster in the graveyard if you want a different attribute or whatever. So that's pretty good. And when it's in the graveyard and you have a banished Alistair, you can shuffle this into the deck and get another Alistair. Now, if I could, I would run 1, but because of Diddy Crows and whatever, you always want to see another one. So that card is really, really good at 2, and just you want to run 2 of this card, in my opinion. And then to search it, like to search your Alistair, because you know, for a ritual spell, field spells which search up your cards, you want to run triple Magical Meltdown. Because Magical Meltdown, like I said a second ago, it's searching your Alistair. You want to run triple of this because it's searching your Alistair. Just activate this, you add an Alistair, and it's protecting your fusions. Now, because this card is, like, I have a lot of field spells, I am considering cutting this card. This is one of the cards I'm considering cutting down to 2, except the Gaia, the First Knight, which I'm considering cutting down completely. But I still have this card at 3 because it's just another 3 copies of Alistair. And protecting my fusions. And unfortunately, I have to proxy, guys, because I don't have it, but I also run free Gateway to Chaos, which unfortunately I have to proxy because they're so pricey and I don't own any of them right now. So I am going to order, but once again, it's another field spell. I'm considering cutting it down to 2 because I don't want to see any of those field spells too much, because each one of them I can only activate once per turn. So this one I can only activate one per turn, and this one I can only activate 1 per turn. And this card, when I activate it, I basically getting a Blackluster Soldier ritual monster or Gaia the Fierce Knight monster. Most of the time I'm gonna go for my Blackluster Soldier monsters, because you don't want to see the Gaia, but whatever. And its effect is, and you basically, it's getting counter for each card sent to the graveyard, so it's pretty good. And when you have free, up to maximum of 6, and when you have free counters, it's not once per turn, you basically remove free counters, search for a ritual spell. So it's so good. And I think because it's so good in other decks as well, they're basically running this card, because it's just rogue decks of ritual can utilize this card really, really easy for their ritual spell. But regardless, I like this card at 3, and those 2 cards I am considering each one cutting down to 2. And then running 2 Terraforming to search them, because it's Terraforming, which is the card I'm considering running, bumping up to 3, because I want to see the ritual spells, but not too much in my hand. But still, I am considering also keeping it down to 2. It's really, really hard to me, and it's still in the playtesting, but, you know, it's really, really fun. So, you want to run triple, triple, and 2, at least for now, for my playstyle. And then, lastly, and then I also run Draw Power. You want to run triple Trade-In, because BLS is at level 8. 1 Upstart Goblin because 39 deck consistency. 1 Reinforcement of the Army because Reinforcement of the Army, it's adding the soldiers that you need. You basically running another copy of each of the little knights. And then 1 Instant Fusion because Instant Fusion is another card that I consider bumping up to 2. Now, I don't have Norden, which is a shame, like, because Norden is banned. But we also have another different target in the extra deck, which is the Dark Kaliga, which is the Dark Invoked Fusion monster, which is still doing excellent job. So you want to run Instant Fusion because of him. And that's it for spells. Now we'll move on to our traps. 2 traps in the main deck. I don't think you need more. One, the first trap is Beginning of Heaven and Earth. You want to run this card at 1 because this card is so good. You reveal 3 warrior type monster from your deck, including at least 1 Blackluster Soldier or Gaia the Fierce Knight. And you set those 3. Your opponent choose one of them. You add you add one of them to your hand if it's a Blackluster Soldier or Gaia the Fierce Knight. Otherwise, you send all of them to the graveyard. So it's essentially could be like, yeah, let's just say you're revealing this, and let's just say this. So let's just say our opponent choose this, so it's essentially 3 mills, or it can be like this and 2 mills. So it's so good. It's just so good if your deck need it. Unfortunately, it's a trap, so that's why it's very, very slow. But I still like this card at 1 because it can save you if you're stuck. You could cut it down. And then one last trap that I run, which is dedicated for Blackluster Soldier, and one Super Soldier Shield, because I love Super Soldier Shield. You need to control Blackluster Soldier so you can cut, like, you know, and put a Stolen Striker Warning. But I like this because it's 2 uses, because you need to control maybe a BLS monster, but when your opponent targeted monster you control, you a spell trap or monster effect, you negate, destroy, and if you have like a counter on the board, you basically remove one counter, set it, and banish it when it leaves the field. Like I said, you could change those 2 traps to Stolen Strike and Warning or whatever trap you need, but or 2 spells you need if you don't want traps. But I just like traps because, you know, Merkaba can use traps and you want to have traps. And I just like those 2 traps because they're dedicated to BLS. Sorry it's taking so long the video, I just want to show you guys how much I enjoy the deck. So that's it for main. Now we'll move on to side pretty quickly. To Gada Darla, the Mystery Dust Kaiju, the one I only run at 2. The only side deck monster. Now the only reason I run the Wind Kaiju is because first off, it's not that hard to get over. I have like 3,000 beater monsters, even in the extra deck. And 2, it's just a win target. So even if like I open like 2 of these and a trade-in, Kaiju my opponent, Kaiju my opponent, send the other one to the graveyard, draw the 2 that I need, and then even use this one to summon a Raijin. So that's why I like this instead of Gamma because I like the Raijin better than Kokikus, and that's that pretty much. And then for our spells, I run 1 Raigeki, 1 Dark Hole for board wipes, 2 Twin Twisters, double Chalice, and because I'm doing a lot of banish sometimes, I also running 1 Burial from Different Dimensions and 1 for part of Acquisitiveness. You could change them to any traps or spells you want, but I just like those 2. I would change one of them to another Dark Hole, but I just don't have a second Dark Hole, unfortunately. I will own in the future. But this card, like those 2 cards, what it does, this one is just returning 3 of the banish to the graveyard, and this just returning the 3 banish to the deck, and you draw 1 card. So I like those cards because of that. This one can also return your opponent banished monster, so it's pretty fun. And then for traps, 1 Stolen Strike, 1 Stolen Warning, standard. I would run 3 strikes, but I just don't own 3 strikes. So instead I run 2 Chaos Trap Holes because they're good against Masterpiece and other cards, and then 1 Horn of Heaven because it's just good against special summons, and sometimes I don't mind tributing my own monsters. And that's it for my side. Now we'll move on to Extra Deck. Extra Deck is pretty much to your personal playstyle, but I just don't go to more like rank 8, so I don't run rank 8s. And I just really need just the rank 4s. And, you know, I just have the play, so I'm running 1 Elysion, double Merkaba, because this one is very, very important. You want to run double of this. Like, I'm going to talk to you about the fusions that you have to run, the fusions that you don't have to run. Double Merkaba, double Magnalesia, 1 Pegatrio, 1 Kokikus, 1 Raijin, and 1 Caliga. Now, the ones that you have to run, in my opinion, are the double Merkaba, at least 1 Magnalesia and 1 Caliga because the instant fusion target, and even if you want 1 Raijin. But the other ones you don't have to run. I just like this ratio because I have the place in the extra deck. I don't need anything else, like not even Utopia the Lightning or whatever. I just need those guys. And this one I just like him because it's not an Invoked deck in my opinion if you don't run him. This one you need at 2, like I said. This one come up at 2 so much in my place, so you can run it at 1, but I do think you need to run it at 2. This one is so good because it's a beater, and it's good to use against your opponent, like after they use their Ash Blossoms. This one just because the defensive, and sometimes I still see rogue, what they call frogs, even though it's not happening so often. This one just good against like your Wind the Witch matchup, and this one just in general. Like I said, just those 3, if you don't want them, you can cut them, run whatever else, like cut those 4 or even those 5, but I just enjoy those the most, and that's why I run 9 fusions, even though it seemed maybe a little bit too much. And then 1 copy of For Xyz, you run 1 Dark Rebellion, 1 Kyra Gorgon, because I love those 2 Xyz, because beat stick and a really good card to redirect targets. 1 101, 1 Castell, 1 Abyss Dweller, and the 1 number 52 Diamond Crab King. Now, those 3 are, I think, the most important to your plays, because those 3, you want to have materials in your graveyard if you're going during your own turn. So most of the time, I go into my own turn this or this, depending on the situation. Getting this guard to 3,000, get the Alistair in the graveyard, do the fusion, just basically get a Merkaba or Magnalacia on board. Those 2 because, you know, you want to have a removal. You could just run 2 Castells or whatever, but I just like those, like 1 and 1, just versatility. Kyra Gorgon, like I said, it just redirects, and Abyss Dweller, it's Abyss Dweller, so yeah, just pretty important in my opinion. And you could change the extra deck as much as you want, as much as you need to. It's just really fun to my playstyle to play like this. Like I said, the extra deck is not like, you know, really much of a thing. I'm sorry the video is very long. I just want to show you guys how much I enjoyed this deck. It's a very long video. It's over 20 minutes, I know, but just this deck is so fun, and I want to explain to you guys why it's so good variant of Invoked. So, hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's really helped my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.